this January 4th, 2021 reorganization meeting with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
Republic,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So the statement of adequate notice. In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975 of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the South River Board of Education was provided in the following manner. On November 24th, 2020, the notice was delivered to the office of the South River Borough Clerk and posted at the Board of Education Administration Building. On November 24th, 2020, the notice was faxed mailed to the following newspapers: Home News Tribune, Sentinel. On November 24th, 2020, the notice was posted at the South River Borough Clerk's office. Due to the state of emergency declared by the state of New Jersey and the United States government regarding COVID-19, this meeting is being held by way of video conference in order for the Board of Education to conduct its business. This meeting is being conducted virtually, and a link to the meeting invitation has been posted to the district website so the public may join and provide comment. Upon joining the meeting, all participants will have their audio muted. If anyone from the public would like to be recognized during open comment portions of the meeting, they may do so by using the chat feature. Here, members of the public must send their name and address to the meeting host, Brian Dougherty. You will be recognized to speak by the host at the appropriate time, and your audio will be enabled. Participants for open comment will be called in the order that they were received. This meeting is being recorded, and a link to the meeting will be made available on the district website upon completion. Mr. Kokoska, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Bazak?
Here.
Mr. Budson?
here.
Mrs. Bush?
Here.
Mrs. Lell?
Here.
Mr. Nielsen?
Here.
Mr. Rosanno? Mr. Rashitar?
Here.
Ms. Sadowski?
Here.
Mrs. Urbanik?
Here.
Ms. Almeida?
Ms. Almeida will be excused for this meeting. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, this is the time and place provided by statute for the installation of new board members and for the reorganization of the board and to transact several items of business. At this time, the meeting will be turned over to the board secretary to act as temporary chair. Mr. Kokoska.
Well, we need a motion to appoint me.
Name, yes.
Nielsen,
Bush.
A motion by Mr.
Motion by
Nielsen.
Mr. Nielsen. Okay, go ahead,
Second.
please. Sorry.
That's okay. Second by, ooh, I'm sorry, was that Mrs. Bush?
Renee, Bush.
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Good. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the school board election held on November the 3rd. I'm just going to give you the Reader's Digest version, or the highlights, if you will, as far as the votes are concerned, as far as board members. For the one-year unexpired term, Lisa Byrne received 4,174. There were no other individuals running. For the three-year term, Elizabeth DeSalel received 4,203 votes. John Budson received 2,991 votes. David Rajatar, 2,722 votes. So can we get a motion to accept the election on November 3rd?
Nielsen,
Bazak, second.
Second by Mr. Bazak. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is to install the new board members. It was, I discussed it with the superintendent this afternoon and with Mr. Parton. I was thinking about maybe doing something a little different this year, given the fact that it is via Zoom, was to swear in all the board members all at the same time. Mr. Parton indicated that it's perfectly fine, acceptable, legal. So I'll defer to the board members, more specifically, the ones who are being sworn in. Do you have any objection, or would you like us to do it individually?
No objection.
I'm
No
fine.
objection.
Okay.
Everybody's okay all at the same time?
I'm fine with it.
All right,
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Okay, so what we'll do here is I have a an oath that I need you to repeat after me. So when I say I, then state your name, just state your name, and then repeat after me as you so wish. You could just raise your right hand. We'll take a position that you do have a Bible or something of that nature. All right, so I state your name,
I, Lisa Byrne,
Elizabeth Lowe.
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
Swear.
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the
Support the
Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New
New
Jersey,
Jersey.
and I will bear true faith
and I will
And I
bear
will bear true faith
and allegiance
and
and
allegiance
allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the
authority
people,
and you have a choice to say, so help you God.
so help me God.
I state your name,
I,
I, Lisa
Elizabeth
Byrne,
Lowe,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of member
for the office of member
of the Board of Education,
The Board of
of the Board of
Education.
Education,
and that I am not disqualified
and I am not disqualified
qualified
as a voter pursuant
as
a
a
voter
voter
pursuant
pursuant
RS
RS
1941,
1941,
nor disqualified
nor
disqualified
disqualified
due to conviction of a crime
due to
due to
conviction of a crime
or offense listed
or offense
offense
listed
listed
in New Jersey Statute
in New Jersey
statute
statute
18A
18A.
12-1,
12-1
and that I will faithfully,
and I
And I
will
will faithfully,
faithfully
impartially,
impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
perform
all the duties of that office
all the
all
duties
the
of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the
according to
best
the
of
best
my
of my
ability.
ability.
so help you God.
So help me
Help
God.
me God.
Congratulations all.
Yay.
Congratulations. Yay.
you.
Okay, at this time, I will now take roll call for the full member of the board. Bazak,
Yes, here.
Mr. Budson,
Here.
Mrs. Bush,
Here.
Mrs. Byrne,
Here.
Mrs. Lell,
Here.
Mr. Nielsen,
Here.
Mr. Rashatar,
Here.
Mrs. Sadowski,
Here.
Mrs. Urbanik,
Here.
Mrs. Almeida. She'll be excused. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for the election of the president. Do I have anyone interested in the position?
I would like to nominate Cindy Urbanik for president, please.
Okay.
Second.
What, do I have a second?
No second is necessary.
Well,
I
sorry,
know,
second
but-
as well.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll just do it though. Let's see, Mrs. Sadowski. NS. Okay. Do I have anyone else? Can I get a motion to close the nominations?
Nielsen.
Bazak.
Bush.
Motion by Nielsen, and let's see. Thank you. See, my problem is I put RBs and then my secretary doesn't know who RB is because we got a Renee Bush and a Ray Bazak. So I
Yeah,
have to spell
that's
I have to
okay.
spell your names out. So it takes just a little time when Ray or Renee do a motion. Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. We'll do a vote now for Mrs. Urbanic for president, Mr. Bazak,
Yes.
Mr. Budson,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrne,
Yes.
Mrs. Lell,
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen,
Yes.
Mr. Rashatar,
Yes.
Mrs. Dowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Urbanic.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mrs. Urbanic.
Congrats,
you.
Cindy. Yay.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
This board is fantastic to work with. I am humbled by the trust that you put in me. This has been just a remarkable year, and I couldn't have asked for, I don't think South River Borough could have asked for any better board members or staff to have working for their kids as these people assembled here. Board members, staff, everyone. So we still do have business to conduct, so we'll move along, and we will now need to elect a vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
Renee Bush.
We have a nomination. Is there a second? A nomination by Mr. Nielsen. Is there a second?
Second, Bazak?
Second by Mr. Basak. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations for vice president, and I will ask our board secretary to call the roll.
Mr. Bazak,
Yes.
Mr. Budson,
Yes.
Mrs. Bush,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrne,
Yes.
Mrs. Lell,
Yes.
Mr. Nielsen,
Yes.
Mr. Rashatar,
Yes.
Mrs. Dowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Urbanic.
Yes. Congratulations, Renee, Mrs. Bush.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for trusting me for round two. I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. So item 4 on our agenda is to establish our pre-meeting and monthly board meeting dates and, oh, I'm sorry, my apologies. 3.7, we need to hear remarks from our newly elected and our re-elected board members. Let's start with our newly elected, and we'll go alphabetically, that's easiest. Mr. Budson.
I'd like to thank the voters for giving the confidence in me. And I'd like to thank congratulate the other winners. And that's all I have.
Ms. Lau. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. I will, I'd like to echo Mr. Budson's statement in terms of the trust that was placed in terms of the voters. And I hope to continue working wonderfully with all of you in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rashatar.
Yes, I'd like to thank the board for helping me learn the ropes and helping me along in the years since I was appointed. And I want to thank you for your faith in me, and I want to thank the people of South River for putting their faith in me and electing me.
Thank you, and welcome back to all three of you. And now to our newly elected board member, Ms. Lisa Byrne. Welcome to the board, and the floor is yours.
I just want to thank everyone for voting for me and giving me this chance. And working with all of you will be fun.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Everybody.
Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you all. Now, number 4, to establish the pre-meeting and monthly board meeting dates and locations. The meetings were listed in your agenda. We will need a motion and a second, and then we can have discussion on this item.
There's no, I'm sorry, Mr. Maddox, there's no need to accept the meeting dates. Right, Mr. Parton, or am I wrong?
You can, you do not need to do that. It's a matter of calendaring, so you're not
Okay.
formally approving them. It's more of a notification, Mrs.
Right.
O'Brien.
Oh,
So you can skip right to discussion if you'd like.
okay. Does anybody have any discussion on any of the pre-meeting or public meeting dates?
Just one question. There isn't a pre-meeting for January?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. That's because just like this month, there are two meetings. One of the meetings is the reorganization meeting, and the following meeting is the regular board meeting.
Okay, no problem.
Any other board members regarding the meeting dates? Then the meetings will stand as listed. Thank you. Okay, so over the past week and a half, your vice president and I worked on appointing committees, board members as the chairperson and vice chairperson and the members. I must say I enjoyed really doing it this way, got a lot of input from a lot of the board members and a lot of assistance from Mrs. Bush, our vice president. We pretty much accommodated everybody's request. I like the way that the committees worked out. We have some very strong committees and committee members. And also you'll see on that listing, and this was a great suggestion by Mrs. Bush, by Vice President Bush, to list the legislative representative, the disproportionality team reps, and the reopening task force committee representative. Now these may or may not be reported out on at every meeting. Like we do have an agenda item for all of the other committees. They will be on an as needed basis. You may recall in the past, Mr. Rosano, whenever there was something cooking in the legislature, he would always ask to have the floor and speak about that. We do have an opening on the reopening task force committee representative, and I'd like to ask our superintendent if she can just speak about that committee. And any board member, we need one board member who would be interested in being on that committee as the Board of Ed representative. Ms. Zurcher?
Sure, thank you, Mrs. Urbanik. The formation of a task force, of a district task force, is actually a requirement from the Department of Ed under the current COVID-related circumstances. And one of those recommendations for that mandated committee is that a board member sit on that committee. So the task force has been meeting throughout the entire school year, beginning in, we began meeting over the summer. And Mr. Rosano was the board representative throughout. We were meeting very regularly at the beginning of the year. Now we meet about, I would say, every 3 weeks or so, as we've really gotten the school year off the ground, and we're a little bit more familiar with the process related to making decisions about in-person instruction versus virtual instruction, et cetera. So I foresee that the task force will remain in place until the end of this school year. And I do not see it moving forward into the following school year, but we'll see. But that's basically what the task force does. It convenes, it discusses the current situation in the district. It reviews feedback from different stakeholders, teachers who are on the committee, administrators, parents, and the board who gives us feedback from the community. And based on that feedback, we're able to make decisions that impact our school reopening decisions.
Thank you. That's a very good summation. When is the next meeting?
The next meeting, I believe, is not scheduled for another 2 weeks. The third week of January, I believe.
Okay, so sometime between now and then, if any board member is interested, would you like them to email that to you?
Yes, that would be helpful. If you have an interest in serving on the committee, if you could please send that interest to me, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Does any board member have any questions about the committee at this time?
Sylvia, just to clarify, is it a set day and time, like the third week of every month, or it just changes monthly?
We began with a set date and time. And we were also trying to make the meetings the same night as board meetings. So we would meet before the board meeting. But we started to hit some issues with people having a lot of conflicts. And so sometimes we'd have to reschedule based on the number of people on the committee who had conflicts. So it's become less regular, I think, than it was initially when everybody was very much sort of closed in and quarantined. Now it doesn't seem to have as much of a stable schedule, Renee.
Okay, just wondering.
Yeah.
Good question. Thank you. If there aren't any other questions, we're going to move on to Policy and Legislation Committee. Mr. Rashatar.
Thank you, Mrs. Urbanek. There are 2 items. Item 6.1, discuss approve first reading revised policy number 6147, standards of proficiency. And 6.2, discuss approve first reading revised policy number 3513, COVID-19 travel policy.
Mr. Rushdock, could you just read them separately because there's no consent here, so they'll have to be read separately, please.
You can do them together to move numbers 1 and 2, Ken.
Okay, then fine. Before we go, is this a roll call vote or just a?
It's all just simple majority, so all in favor.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay. So then we just need a motion then, Mr. Rashatar.
I make a motion to accept these items.
Second, Bush.
And Mr. Kokoska, we have a motion. We have a second. Would you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions or discussion on these 2 items? Seeing none. Again, was that roll call
Just
or
all-
all?
Just all in favor.
favor.
Thank you.
Just all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is the reception of visitors. So at this time, anyone in the audience and in the public may address any concern or comment that they have for the board. To do so, please state your name and address in the chat section of the virtual meeting. And please keep your comments to a 10-minute limit.
Mrs. Urbanek, I'm not seeing anybody in the chat.
No, there is not. So we will close this public portion of the meeting. And that brings us to our final item on the agenda, and that's a motion for adjournment.
I have a question. I have a question.
Mr. Budson.
Isn't there a form we're supposed to sign as newly elected board members?
Yes, I have them here, Mr. Budson. I'm not sure how we're going to get them to you, but we'll work something out. You're more than welcome to stop by.
Yes,
Everyone's more than welcome to stop by my office.
Because I don't, you have to be there to notarize it?
No, there's no notary required. Just,
Okay, I got the form here, so I'll just fill it out and drop it off.
yeah, it's up to you because I have them here too. So if you want to sign yours and then drop them off, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That stands for all the newly elected members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kokoska. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Nielsen for adjournment. Who was the second on that?
You didn't have one yet.
I'll second. I'll
That
second.
was, and that was second by Ms. Byrne.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this reorganization meeting of the Board of Education is adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Good night, all.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.